Okay, so we're in Seoul. We made it to South Korea, and it was a little bit of a tiring journey. So we took a flight from Hanoi to Seoul, but we had a stopover in Gwangju in China because it was a more convenient time for the flight, we thought, because we wanted to arrive here during the day and not like in the middle of the night, because we have an Airbnb and you know you don't want to bother your host and possible other guests during the night. But that's exactly what happened, because the first flight was fine, so we landed in Gwangju midday around noon, and we had like 2 hours, I think, or 1.5 hours until our flight to Seoul would have left. But when we arrived, there was a big thunderstorm in Gwangju. The waiting hall was surrounded by glass windows, and you could just see the first airplane that was right outside the window. Everything else was like gray, covered by heavy rain, really heavy rain, and it was like thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening. Auf jeden Fall, that was German. Sorry. Our second flight, like a lot of flights were delayed, and we were afraid that our flight would be delayed too, and it was. So we started about a little more than 2.5 hours later than we should have. So we arrived in Seoul very late. Then we had to go
11 p.m.
like
local
11 p.m. Yeah, and then Seoul Incheon Airport is very much outside of the city, so it's on an island out to the west. So you have to travel in to the city. We stay in Hongdae, which is on the like western side, but still a long way from the airport. An hour maybe, yeah. So at 11 we landed, but then we had to go through customs, and they of course searched us again very much.
And again they asked if we are artists.
Yeah, they asked us if we were artists. But I mean, the security people were very nice. One security guy asked me, like that was in Vietnam though, yeah. He asked me for my YouTube name. I hope I have a new follower now. Hi, if you see this. We landed very late, had to go through customs, had to pick up our bags, which took a little time. Then the bags were screened again and again. Like, they're very thorough with their searching. And when we had to we wanted to go into the city by train because it's the cheapest way. And then we had to look for where the train leaves. And when we found the train, the last train had just left. So the last train leaves at, I think, 12:40 at night. And I think we got there at after 1, something like that. So we couldn't take the last train because it was gone. But where the train leaves is pretty far away from where everything else is at the airport. So when we finally like found out how we could get into the city, which took a little like figuring out, because we had then to take a bus that took us somewhere else because there wasn't any like service going directly to where we needed to go. So we would have to go to some place and then take a taxi from there. And we did that. And when we arrived at the Airbnb, it was 2:30, like after 2:30, I think. So we came in exactly like during the night, and I hope we didn't wake people. And yeah, but
there we could unlock the door with a password.
Yeah, so we could let ourselves in, but still. But now we're in Seoul and everything's fine. We made it here. The weather is very nice compared to Vietnam and the rest of Southeast Asia where we were before for us, because it was so hot everywhere, like I said in the other videos, and here it's I think 22, 23 degrees and not so humid, and today it's cloudy. I think it's smog though, but still the sun doesn't come through. We bought some cheap like 7-Eleven soju with, what is this called? Pomegranate flavor, which is nice. And we had a very late start today too, like because of course we arrived at, when we got to sleep it was like 3 or 3:30. So when we left the house it was 2 in the afternoon or something, which is cool because, you know, it's our holiday. Another day in Seoul, and it's cold and rainy, but we're happy about that because it's not above 30 degrees anymore. And we're visiting Gyeongbokgung Palace. I'm sorry for my horrible Korean, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's this palace group behind there. We've not been inside yet, we're about to go in, and it's from the 14th century, I think. So that's cool, and we'll go in now.